Hi, my name is Cheryl.
Hi, I'm Swati, and we are from the Singapore Youth for Climate Action.
Yeah, and which is SYCA in short. So we're here now live at COP26, and what we're doing here is we're actually, not just tracking and following negotiations, but also creating platforms and basically just connecting the knowledge here at COP26 with the youth and the people back in our different out of COP actually.
Yeah, so we are a youth collective from Southeast Asia, and we represent the global South. And we are here to share our expectations and also take some of the learnings back, as Cheryl mentioned.
Yeah. So one of the things that SYCA we are focused at this COP26 is being the intergenerational equity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is to promote intergenerational equity. So what that means is that it's oftentimes in climate change issues is you always hear there is like different generation gaps of how they view climate change, but actually what we are doing here is actually trying to promote that collaboration among generations rather than a competition among generations. So to bridge the gap, the knowledge gap between different generations, and to promote climate knowledge further on after this. Yeah.
And being from Asia and Southeast Asia, we realize that region has the probability of facing some of the highest risks from climate change, and that means that it will affect the people and the planet. And we as youth delegates from that, representing the voices from that region, recognize the importance of understanding the loss and possible damages that this part of the world will feel, and how we as a global collective need to address that issue and create a framework that really targets the benefit that can be delivered by the cooperation between the global parties. Yeah, so we will face things like rising sea levels, we will have vulnerabilities to food chains, we have a global disparity between income levels, and those are some of the key issues that will get accelerated as the climate temperature rises.
Yeah, and also like different areas in Southeast Asia, because as mentioned by Swati, like we are geographically we're in more vulnerable areas in the world to actually receive higher impacts of climate change. So what this means also that there are groups of people in Asia that might today they are already facing the different climate impacts in their countries, and yeah, we are trying to also like raise awareness on these different issues and also bring different voices and ideas with like existing negotiations and also existing conversations here at COP.
My name is Siri, and I'm an observer delegate for the World Association of Girl Scouts and Girl Guides, and we're representing Scout movement in Sweden. We're here as observers because we want to be where it's happening. This is a place where all of the negotiators and world leaders are gathering to make a difference in this big topic, this big crisis that's going on. And this is a way to show that we as the civil society and we as young people, we see what's going on and we're directly affected by the negotiations and the decisions that's happening right now here. We hope that this conference will get like really ambitious goals, that the nations will actually work together, and that they will work for the 1.5 degree goal, because this is a crisis and we need action now, not in 10 years, not in 5. We need decisions right now.
My name is Marius Wallstein, I'm from Germany. I'm here with my Students Association, and we're really looking forward to advocating voices from the youth and emphasizing with the young people, because it's our generation and even the generations after us who are mostly affected by the climate crisis. And yeah, we really want to put forward that perspective because we think in the negotiation that really is not represented well enough. We really hope that COP26 will be a turning point in the history of all the COPs that we have already had, because we still see that even though efforts are being made, it's still not enough, and we have seeing with the COVID-19 crisis, we have to go even further. We have to rebuild stronger and really make a difference to come to net zero 2050, that means getting there even earlier in the industrialized countries, and that's why we, especially as a German youth group, want to put pressure on the German government and call for strong results out of the COP that are in line with the Paris 2015 agreement.
My name is Freeman Eloho. I'm from Nigeria. I'm the Center Coordinator for Africa Center for Climate Action and Rural Development Initiative. We're based in Nigeria, but we have our network across Africa. So we are in COP26, like every other, looking at opportunities and looking at how climate change is being addressed on the global picture. You know, we actually represent a group that is not actually mainstream in governance. And everybody keep talking about climate change. This language is not new, but actually the impacts are quite different. So we responding to climate change depends on a lot of infrastructure, including investment. So the world is saying they have kept aside, especially the big countries, the G8, that they have kept a lot of money, about 100 billion. But sometimes we keep asking ourselves, how much of this money that has been said in the past years that has been assessed by some of these countries, developing countries. So we just believe that we need to close some of this gap by actually speaking right and making it real. So if you look at the rural people, for example, you know, the impact is so huge on them, but their resilience or their response level is so poor. So if you keep looking at them like that, the world is going to face it, because you look at migration today, you ask yourself, why people migrated from either the rural area to urban, and from the urban to cities, and cities to other countries of the world. Climate change has actually done some of this harm, and it's time we start looking at things. They have asked young people to speak up. Young people are now being called advocates. You know, but in reality of things, young people are not in decision-making table. They are not into governance. So it's because they just want to say, okay, the future belongs to you. Young people, you can talk as advocates. But when it comes to the processes of decision, are they there? When it comes to how these finances that has been set aside, either for adaptation or the so-called mitigation to tree planting, are they there? So I just think that there are a lot of imbalances in the system that gradually will come. So I'm here in COP26 to follow up with some of these things so that we can improve our engagement at the grassroots level. So that is why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey from Twig, Taiwan Youth Climate Coalition, a group of young climate advocates from Taiwan here at COP26. And we expect COP26 to be inclusive of people of all ages and all places in the world. We want COP26 to keep the world leaders accountable in delivering the promises. And we would want to demand Taiwan's government to be more transparent in their policy making on climate policies and create a legit roadmap for net zero 2050. And overall, we want COP26 to have the leaders in check and deliver and make a just transition for everyone in the world to net zero and a greener planet in the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vera Engel. I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm representing Young Friends of the Earth, the Dutch branch. And I'm here in Glasgow because first of all, I don't necessarily believe that world leaders are going to be saving the world. So I believe in grassroots and people power. And I think that we should do everything we can to make the fact known that the climate crisis, as my shirt says, is a colonial crisis. I don't think world leaders are necessarily going to be representing this fact. There is very little focus on this fact. And because we're not acknowledging it in the way that we should, Indigenous voices and other voices of colour are structurally excluded, as we've heard in the introductory talks as well, time and time again. So it's a very special position to be able to be here. I'm very aware of the privilege, the fact that I'm a white youth from the Netherlands. I can't speak for people, but what I can do is, and it's a humble hope, I suppose, is try and have some conversations with some people about this fact. A lot of the people that I work with, some of them are Indigenous, they couldn't make it, and a lot of them who did make it didn't get accreditation to the Blue Zone, so I feel like it's a responsibility to be as critical as possible wherever that might be. I don't know if I have any actual realistic hopes. I think the way that it's structured at the moment doesn't necessarily give me very much hope. Well, at the very least, we can hope that the 1.5 degree limit will be upheld. If not, it's mass manslaughter for a lot of island and other vulnerable communities around the world. And they are disproportionately represented again by black and brown bodies. So that's a really big thing, staying within the 1.5 limits, because it has huge human rights implications.
I'm Astrid. I'm an activist by the three people from Amazon, Brazil, and I'm here to send the young indigenous people message. I'm here to say to the earth, to the world, that we don't have climate justice without social justice to indigenous people, because we are in the front line of the fight against the climate change. So we need our in the center of the discussion, because if we don't have the Amazon, we don't have life, we don't have a planet. And so if we don't have the indigenous people, we don't have the Amazon. So the world needs fight to us. I hope the sport responsibility. I hope the action, real action. We need to stop the wars, and we need do now.
So my name is John Baki. I work with Women Environmental Program. Women Environmental Program is a women-led non-governmental organization that advocates for the right of women on issues of environment, on issues of governance. So we are here at the 26th session of the Conference of Parties, so United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, to see how the heads of state will decide on the Paris Rule Book, that's the set of rules that guide the implementation of the Paris Agreement. Basically, we are looking at how the issue of loss and damage will be addressed, how the issue of market mechanisms and nature-based solutions. There has been so much debate around whether the market-based mechanisms are better than nature-based solutions, but our position is that nature-based solutions are better. They should be prioritized over market-based solutions, because if you look at market-based solutions, it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So nature-based solutions, which are solutions that have been implemented over time, the benefits they have to the environment are well known, should be the priority of the COP. These are some of the things that we are looking for from this session of the Conference of Parties. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Miguel Vidal from Costa Rica, and I'm assistant for delegate of transparency of delegation for Costa Rica. In my expectative for COP26 is the finance of the year to 2030 agenda and lograr NDC advocates meetings. NDC building and climate justice and human rights.
Hi, I'm Astrid and I'm here with the Nuclear for Climate Pavilion. I think the expectation that I have for this COP at this early stage. I'm expecting a lot of good concrete promises on more niche areas, if you know what I mean. Deforestation or agriculture, maybe something to do with meat, but I'm not expecting a ton of concrete emissions goals to come together. And I think it might have to be because the gas crisis and there's a lot of geopolitical things happening at the same time. So I'm hoping that 40,000 people here can convince the people to make some changes, but I don't know if anything concrete is going to come out of this. I came to COP because I think that nuclear deserves a seat at the table. There's a lot of conversation about what wind and geothermal and solar can do, but there's only really hydro that is really doing big numbers in terms of energy around the world, and nuclear being the second one. So we're coming into this COP quite optimistic. Things are looking pretty good for nuclear, at least compared to past COPs. So I'm here to really make sure that people know that there are young volunteers who love nuclear and want to see more and more nuclear in every country around the world.
Hi everyone, I'm Dejesus. I'm an Associate Fellow with the Center for International Sustainable Development Law and a Research Assistant with the Leverhulme Trust Visiting Professor at the University of Cambridge. I'm here with the CISDL and we're also hosting Climate Law and Governance Day on Friday at the University of Glasgow, where we're hoping to have lots of amazing sessions on climate law and governance. This is my first COP, so I have very high expectations of our leaders, our world leaders, and everyone who's convened over here to create a collaborative community for action on climate law and governance, and also achieve climate action through the Sustainable Development Goals, which as a backdrop over here, give us indications of how climate action can be achieved. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you very much for your time.
Hi everyone, this is Priscilla from Hong Kong. I'm here at COP26 because I'm a youth delegate from Hong Kong, and I want to bring the message on how we can all raise the climate ambitions and learn the best practice from COP26 to bring it back to Hong Kong, but also exchange different climate action ideas. I look forward to meeting different youth and also different stakeholders around different sectors to share the best practice and really inspire each other, and hopefully I can be part of the inspiration as well. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ayman. I'm with the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection. I come from Morocco. I'm here in COP26 to further strengthen awareness raising, capacity building, networking around the important issues of environmental education. I'm particularly interested around issues of youth and youth engagement, youth involvement, particularly from the global south and from Africa. My expectations around COP26 is specifically to ensure that the ideas, projects, priorities of youth, and specifically African youth, are reflected in the decision making and outcomes that will be reached here in Glasgow. And I'm doing my best in close collaboration with youth to make sure that those outcomes are acquired and secured in such a way. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Timothy Arvan. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Michigan and an Associate Fellow with the Center for International Sustainable Development Law. I'm here on an observer delegation with the CISDL. This is my second COP. I previously attended COP24. I'm really excited to be here this time to work with my team on Climate Law and Governance Day, which should hopefully be the largest convening and most significant convening of the climate law and governance community since Paris. There are a lot of really exciting sessions happening at the University of Glasgow on Friday. I will also be participating in a specialization course being offered to parties and non-party delegates on Sunday. Overall, I really do have high expectations for this COP, and I certainly hope that the parties will be able to operationalize Article 6 finally, as well as set the timetable for the next round of nationally determined contributions, and look ahead toward the global stocktake. So I'm really excited to be here, and thank you so much.
My name is Najla and I'm here at COP26 in Glasgow as a civil society observer. I'm here as my role as a climate activist, and I'm passionate about the environmental issues, and it's fantastic to be in the midst of the biggest event when it comes to climate action and climate change in the world. So it's great to be able to go to the different events and follow the negotiations that are relating to this issue.
Hi, I'm Jasper Zhang and I come from China, and actually now I'm the founder of a podcast, and also I'm a co-founder of a Young People's Network. And why I'm here, because I want to connect with more young people, and we work together to combating with climate change. And also the expectation for the COP26, and that's why I'm here, because I want to facilitate the process of the capacity building, because we all know for the small business and for the developing countries, it is very important to, let's say, give them more capacity, to increase their capacity, not only in the technology, but also to strengthen their political will on, to accelerate some the sustainable technology innovation. This is super important. Besides that, I also working on to strengthen the young people's empowerment. So I worked with several different young organizations all over the world, and we one main task here is actually with our organization. We want to I would say invite more young organizations, and we work together and to fight to meet the 1.5 degree target in Paris Agreement. Yes. So let's unite for change.
I am Samoan Tuvaluan, and I'm here to raise the voice of my Pacific people and show the world leaders here at COP26 that it's time that you take note from our Pacific leaders who have been leading this fight against climate change. Yes, we are climate victims, but we are also climate leaders, and we have been fighting this battle. Even after COP, we'll go back and we'll continue to do the work.
Hi, so my name is Nina, and I am one of the youth delegates from Indonesia. Well, as part of the youth delegates, I'm mainly here to really observe not just only the negotiations, to present as a youth perspective in the Indonesian pavilion, and also really gather some inspiration in order to bring back to Indonesia to build collective imagination on how we can really tackle this climate change together, collaboratively, not just with youth groups, but also with the government, with other civil society members, and also attending not just COP26, but the COP26 Coalition's People Summit that's happening outside of COP. I understand that there's a lot of time lag in COP26 in terms of what the demands are from outside and what's happening inside. So I guess first is loss and damage and climate reparations. I really do hope that there's something happening. I know it's been decades that's been introduced and negotiated. So first, climate and loss and damage and climate reparations, and second is hopefully a lot of pressure on including a diverse group of youth inside the negotiations, and third is lowering the barriers for accreditation, because it's really difficult to get inside here, and we really need to work on lowering that so that it's more inclusive and really diverse. Also, and lastly, accessibility for disabled people. I think that's been a blind spot, so I really do hope that at least recognizing what's the problem in terms of accessibility here, and that so it's improved in the next COP. As you all know, we've just started in this negotiations. Paris Agreement was just 6 years ago. We're working on the Paris Rulebook, and it's our role as the current generation and future generation to really keep an eye closely on what governments and parties are doing in terms of upholding their promises, and also really actively working ourselves, collaborating, not just collaborating in groups inside the country, but it's a collaboration on an unprecedented level, and in order to do that, we really need to think about strategies and how we can do that, because working on our own, just mobilizing, it's not going to work without a proper collaborative strategy and plan and tactics. So yeah, I hope we can work on that together.
Hi, so my name is Lula, everyone. I'm from Sweden and studying marine biology. Right now, this year, I'm actually studying here in Scotland, and I decided to come to COP because I think it's important. but so far, it's my second day here. There's a lot of talking. I didn't know really what to expect before, but you hear a lot of fancy words, but it feels like you have heard them before. So I'm thinking like, will we see that come into reality or not? Because we heard about like what's going into negotiation room as well, and they're not that hopeful, all of them. They're saying they have some issues actually putting into paper because you have some countries lagging behind. But at the same time, there's an important point. You don't want a new Paris Agreement with like low ambition, because that's gonna last. So maybe it's better to wait. But of course, I want to see even if countries lagging behind in climate agenda to also step up and do more ambition. I think we need to have high expectation because the climate crisis is now, it's happening now, and we should build a dream of what we want to see in the future, because we must. So, which must turn those worries into expectation, but I'm worried, but we must dream and hope that we see like everyone has come together here. We have the civil society, we have the companies, we have the business leaders, and the governments, of course, and that they finally like will do what they're talking about. So I have high expectation because I think we must have high expectation.
Hi there, it's Vera from Hong Kong. I'm a Hong Kong youth delegate from Carbon Care Lab. So actually I'm a program officer at an NGO called Carbon Care Lab. We are doing different kind of project, but my focuses will be climate education and climate justice. For me, I actually don't have much expectations because they didn't update much a lot about NDC and not actually many countries shows that ambitious. So for me as a Hong Kong youth delegate, I would like to see if I can bring more insights from other references from other countries or cities to urge the Hong Kong government to do better and empower more youth in Hong Kong to do climate advocacy. I think a successful COP would be aligned to update the NDC, to align with the targets of the 1.5 degrees Celsius, and I think there's a lot of aspects we need to cover, but the foremost or utmost important will be aligned with this goal. I'm planning to join the negotiation meeting. I don't know if I can take part in to speak up on behalf of Hong Kong or on behalf of youth, young, and I would like to express or introduce the Hong Kong situation or other indigenous people situations to them.